This has been an eventful day. Without sparing a minute, let us dive deep into Epilogue, a final reflection, driving the change, unlocking potential, which is in fact the theme of this edition of TiCon 2023. Can we have the moderator and the panelists? They are all charter members of TI Kerala who will each represent the one sector that was under discussion today. Our moderator, Dr.Geemon Korah, welcome, CEO and Executive Director, Kancor Ingredients Private Limited. Our speakers, panelists, Mr. Jojo George, Ms. Revathi Krishna, Ms. Parvathy S. Pillai, Dr. Navas KM, Mr. C. Padmakumar. If we could have you all up here on stage. Mr. Jojo George, of course, will be handling the agriculture segment. Ms. Revathi Krishna will sharpen focus on assisted living. Ms. Parvathy S. Pillai will be handling the health and wellness domain. Dr. Navas KM will give in a nutshell our understandings in the area of education. And Mr. C. Padmakumar will handle the R&D field. All celebrated names, familiar figures. May we have you all up here on stage. Our guests, our speakers are around. Would be great if we could have you up here on stage. This is also a moment to meet and greet our guests. I believe some of them are engrossed in it. We would like to have your presence here on stage. This is where we weave a tapestry of all the threads that we have collected from the day. The project Diya that envisions itself as a 3-year ongoing process that commenced from this edition of TiCon 2023. Maybe we could start and our guest speaker will join. Over to you.
Good evening. Wonderful to see the hall reasonably full. Because as I was discussing earlier with Jacob, I said it's going to be pretty late in the day and most people would be either hungry or thirsty and would have left, but I'm happy to see much more than I expected. So that clearly tells me that the last 2 days have been quite engrossing, interesting, and of great value as well. And that puts me in a spot. It's not easy to sum up 2 days of deliberations on 5 very important subjects that we've been discussing with fantastic speakers. And the people sitting here along with me are the ones who have been holding each of those sessions and the speakers together, discussing with them over a period of time and bringing them up to speed as to what is to be and what is to be conducted, to be done, and how we are going to take this forward. For those of you who don't know, when we discussed the whole concept of TiCon sometime earlier this year, we decided that, holding TiCon every year has been quite successful in bringing entrepreneurs together, startups together, exchanging ideas. But what is the impact, measurable impact, the tangible impact it has on the state over a period of time? We don't really measure that. Because once TiCon is over, each of us go to our daily lives and get on with it, contributing to the state, but we don't know how we have contributed. The other purpose of that is also to identify areas where we can actually focus and invest in for the future on a consistent basis. So all the charter members, we deliberated it on this subject for a long period of time, and at the CEO's retreat and the charter member retreat, we shortlisted 5 specific areas. And these are the 5 specific areas on which the sessions were held over the last 2 days and today, including today. And what we are going to do is focus on these 5 areas. The first year, this is the starting year. We are going to be drawing upon the experiences the Vice Council of the people that we met on these specific subjects, the domain experts, and we are going to continue working with them and other domain experts who aren't here today but who are in plenty. Draw upon their knowledge and bring out a white paper that clearly defines a path forward in focus on these 5 specific areas. So we have agriculture, we have assisted living, we have health and wellness, R&D, innovation, and education. These are the 5 clear sectors that we have identified for absolute future focus over the next 3 years. That's going to be the contribution of TIE, and it's going to be measurable, tangible, impactful. You are all part of this. So at any point of time you wish to contribute in any of these sectors, please feel free to step up and say, I want to be associated with this particular sector. Because there is no limit to the expertise that we can get on these, and we are more than willing to have you participate and contribute in this journey for the state of Kerala. That said, I think I need to be hearing from the experts sitting here. And my first question I will start from my right because you have Parvathy sitting here. Parvathy is representing the health and wellness sector. So over the deliberations we have had and today, Parvathy, if you could sum up your 3 key takeaways on health and wellness as we discussed, what would they be?
Good evening. So it's been very interesting flow of events over the last 2 days. And health and wellness in Kerala is one area which offers a lot of promise. Kerala being one of the states with the best healthcare facilities, and coupled with its expertise in in Ayurveda, we are in a situation where we can actually provide holistic healthcare facilities. And like you said, we had discussed over the last 1 year about identifying the key areas of contention in this particular session, so that we can keep this in mind and go ahead, work on them, and come up with something which makes sense, probably puts Kerala as a very important place, in the field of health and wellness.
Yeah, one key area that I think one unique position that Kerala has, and as we also heard from the experts who were on the dais on that particular sector, is that an example of Sridharyam, where modern technology blended with Ayurveda to create the solution. You are changing, you have adopted to the changes, and you have accepted technology on one side. Modern medicine technology has been brought into diagnosis, understanding of the issue, and therefore providing the solution. And I don't think there are too many places in the world that has that capability. And that's probably something which is very unique to Kerala.
Yeah, and the same with Prakriti Shakti and all the CGH chain of, that is also very, puts our state in a very unique position because of the beautiful landscape. And so it's like it's a complete treatment from inside out.
Thank you. Shivdas ji, I have a request. Could you come up on the dais to represent the Agri sector? My next question is to you, Revathi. I know that you just come rushing from the US just to attend TICON, so thank you for that. And assisted living. We keep hearing this whole story of Kerala is an aging economy, and all the youngsters are leaving Kerala, going to outside the country to other US, Canada, and headlines are being made that in a single day we have sent 7,000 kids out of the state. And then we are talking about this is going to be like the retirement state of India. But there is a silver lining in the silver economy. Can we hear from you on that? And also what your takeaways would have been post the sessions of today.
Sorry, what was the first question?
The silver lining of the silver economy.
Yes. So silver economy is a name that we came up with to indicate the growing population, the aging population, especially in Kerala, compared to, you have all heard all the statistics, I'm not going to repeat them. But one thing is very clear, all of us, especially those who are in 50s like me, in another 10 years, we will be looking at such we were probably the perfect target market for all those who came today on the panel. So we need to start thinking about how is it that we're going to retire? How is it that we're going to spend our time? Is it going to be in a home alone? Is it going to be in our own home alone? Is it going to be in a retirement community? Is it going to be with friends and family? So this is something that none of us think about. And that is the first takeaway from the discussions today, the roundtable and the panel discussion, is that the mindset has to change. Tom George brought out a very good statement. He said, we spend more on our children and very little on our parents. Probably because we think the return on investment is very little if we spend it on parents. There is deep reluctance to think about what is it that we can do to make their last few years of their life more meaningful, more relevant. We focus more on the generation forward. So that was a very, very touching statement that Tom George said. So that is the first takeaway, that we need to change this mindset. We need to remove the stigma that's associated with staying in a home. It's as if, our children are abandoned us, and my daughter is sitting right there. I know I expect her to go forth and do what she needs to do for her life, and it is up to me to take care of myself and my needs. So this is something that we need to remove the stigma behind thinking about senior living. The second thing is, and this is what Babu Joseph and the other person was Dr. Karthik, they said, tech is not as important as touch. Because there's such a vulnerable population, senior citizens are such a vulnerable population, you can throw any amount of products and services at them, but you cannot replace the importance of human touch. So they were thinking about how we can bring more and more children, start thinking at a very early age about geriatric care, career as an option. So that was the second takeaway for me. And the final takeaway as TIE, as part of TIE ecosystem, what we can do is try and bring more social impact funds into Kerala through CAN, through other organizations that tries to bring investors in Kerala, because our role is very clear. How can we facilitate all these startups that want to get into the space and make sure they have the right funds to go through it? And the final takeaway is at the policy level. And we need to work with the state. We need to work with the state government and, if possible, the federal government or the national government to see if we can divert some of the CSR funds into geriatric care, or at least start working with our own employees and see if, as they retire, if we can take care of them. So these are the key takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I actually look at Dr. Navas, Padmakumar ji and Parvathy here, they represent three sectors which has a significant role to play in the sector of assisted living, because we are going to be short of trained manpower. Education comes into play. We could very well be a startup place for equipment and technologies that can assist in assisted living, and health and wellness, which blends both modern science and Ayurveda, is probably what the elderly would need in reality, rather than just pump them with allopathic medicines. So these are three areas which actually contribute into this. So taking the cue from that, I come to you, Padmakumar ji. You actually had a wonderful session, and we had some innovation and design thinking also on that. So what's your three key takeaways, and how do we go from here?
I'm not sure if I have three key takeaways, but anyway, let me try. The first thing that I think is important from the R&D session has nothing to do with the R&D session, but everything to do with the first session today. Kina Sachdev's that power of stories. And I think what I liked a lot about the R&D session was the story that Kripa told and showed us about, and the excitement of engineering, design. I think all of that came through. I hope the audience felt it. And I think that is what is missing today in our country. There's too much talk about money and business and entrepreneurship, and all that comes later. First, you have to get into the mood, get excited. The second thing I would say is, I think by and large, the panelists, the moderator, and even the round table which came after the session, I think most people seem to agree that the basic thesis of our session was correct. That yes, we are experiencing famine in a fertile land. There are reasons for that. And what are some of the things that we could do? One important finding was about, we seem to have a lot of the pieces of the puzzle in place. But it is basically one thing which might be missing, which is actually stopping that whole R&D value chain from functioning. For example, it could be, somebody pointed out in the round table, validation and testing facilities are missing. So the guy has got a great idea. He's been able to come up with a prototype. But then you need certain expensive infrastructure to do that. And that is missing. Or you have to go some distant place like Delhi or Bangalore or Mumbai. And therefore you come to a halt. So if we can plug that, so it's not that there is some big, overarching problem. We have to identify those few missing links, address them. So it is a solvable problem. The other very interesting thing, I think, which came out of that session was Ajit's reference to the commons. I hope that all of us will think about that a lot more. And, by and large, I tend to agree with what he's saying. I also think that we are spending too much time in conferences like this, and all the business bodies thinking deeply about what the government should be doing and giving unsolicited advice to the government. I think we would be much better off if we think about what we can do. Let's face it, the government of Kerala is not the richest government in the country, but this is a rich state. The people have plenty of money. Why don't we tap that money? And I think somebody had, probably Ajit had mentioned about the social stock exchange. I don't see Kerala tapping sources of funding like that. So it's not just tight-fisted VCs. There are many other sources of funding, government, non-government, etc., which we should be tapping. And last important point would be about the talent pool. And there were some very insightful comments about there is plenty of talent. However, for specific requirements of industry, they don't seem to be up to the mark. So there is a gap. And in fact, Kripa went to the extent of saying some of the talent is not available in India, you have to go abroad to get it. So I think we'll have to look at, and we will have to pick and choose. And the last point would be that Kerala cannot be everything to everybody. We are a small state, we have finite resources, so we will have to focus. And for example, today the government of Kerala's policy talks about 22 priority sectors. That may be a few too many. Perhaps we should just focus on 5 sectors. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was quite inspiring, Kripa's presentation, because it opened your mind to the endless possibilities of what we can do, even as entrepreneurs, to promote that kind of thinking. It's not just about designing about automobiles, and it goes far beyond that. It's about the very thought process. It's design thinking in everything that we do, whether it's IT, whether it's food processing, or whether it's engineering, material, everything. So there's a lot of potential for that in Kerala, And if we can look at that, and again, comes back to education, comes back to training, is there a possibility to look at what we can train our people to, what is the demand, and how do we attract the right talent, which brings us to education, which actually tells us that you also need the right teachers. My takeaway from the whole education sector is that the best thing to do for your child is to have your mindset changed as a parent, the right teachers, and entrepreneurs. You don't need schools and universities. In jest. But if all that is there, then how do we make it a perfect system for education by changing what we can change? And the government is not going to change, and there's a good example where it was said that India is probably the only place in the world where the central government decides the kindergarten curriculum. It's just not acceptable. So what can we do? How do you see that going forward, being in the process of running institutions of education, and where do you see that we can do better? Where do you see that we lack? And is that an opportunity for us to grow in?
After attending all the 5 sessions, 5 topics, what we have shortlisted, one thing I realized is education is all encompassing. We don't have agriculture, we don't have healthcare, we don't have aged care, we don't have research if we don't have proper education. And during the deliberations, many people said the best capital what we have in Kerala is the human resources what we have. It is more important than the oil, it is more important than the new oil, that is the data what we are saying. Without the human brains or the human intelligence to decipher what is happening, all those things are useless. Even in a field like aged care, people were talking about having quality human resources, their skills, their certifications are more important in aged care also. But once we went to the educational discussion, Dr. Saji Gopinath clearly said that we are in, especially in Kerala, we are in a real transition period as far as education is concerned. I would like to bring to the attention of audience that there are a lot of things that is happening in higher education sector in India. For example, the central government has brought out NEP 2020, which talks about a lot of autonomy in the higher education. Apart from higher autonomy, there is an interdisciplinary studies that is happening. They want to do away with subject-focused universities, like we say that agriculture universities will look after the agriculture. But there is nothing like agriculture alone. There is a knowledge is across the board. Like our COVID has proven that even the healthcare is not in silos. It has spread from animals to so that the concept of One Health has come, where we share the health of the human beings, the animals, the plants, then the environment all together. So we have to look at in that total aspect. Then the changes that are happening in NEP is that they are going to give more autonomy to the institutions. It is not that we are going to teach a syllabus that is being prepared by somebody else. And even in school level, instead of rote learning, it is they want to develop an inquisitive mind. So we are in a position where the industry was in early 90s, where everything was regulated. Education also, everything is regulated. Now it is going to open up, and once it is opened up, and we are many places it has already opened up. He was saying that many people who are in the business will be out of business now with a new this thing, and a new big institutions will come up, or new big ideas will come up, and that will be aided by the technology. And the question of technology being taking over the entire education has also came up, and the final answer was the technology will aid in the education or healthcare or whatever it is, but the human values, human interaction, human touch, human empathy, human hugging, everything should be there to aid education. That was the, to sum up the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Navas. Well summed up, I must say. One of the most productive sessions I thought today was agriculture, not just session. I think today was a good day for agriculture. And I will tell you why. I don't know how many of you noticed that NABARD promised to do a free study on Kerala agriculture and which can set up the tone for the future. Dr. Venu Rajamani promised to work with us to develop the white paper identifying 10 key problems and help us in our journey again. And at 2:30 today, we had a meeting with the government of Kerala, Industries Secretary, Mr. Mohammed Hanish, with 50 planters, because there is a revision of the Plantations Act that is coming up, which could open up plantations for many more crops and also allied activities and ecotourism. So there was a good deliberation today between 2:30 and 4:30. I think there are a lot of key takeaways on that. So it's been a good day for agriculture, but we have with us Shivdas ji, who is an expert in agriculture, an entrepreneur, been a very strong advocate for anything to do with agriculture in the state. Shivdas ji, what is your takeaway of today, and where do you see us going forward with this?
Today is a very happy day for me. In fact, we have been dreaming and preaching since last about 25 years to see that we grow the best food for us and for the world. We can do that. But I don't know, the political reasons, politicians were not thinking the way we were thinking. Jose and me have been, of course, those days in CI, telling them why you are stopping us from growing. We know how to grow. The agroclimatic conditions is wonderful. Why? What's happening? But unfortunately, political reasons and plantations means only 5 crop, not something beyond that and all that. I mean, I'm not able to understand. I'm at least happy that I'm alive to see that something is good happening in the plantation. I think if this would have happened about 10 or 15 years back, I could have asked my children to be with me in Kerala. Because that growth was not happening in the state in spite of our intelligence, our ability to work, ability to communicate. We could not grow. So, children are there, settled in the US. To please us, they keep telling that we'll come back. But we know that they are not interested in coming back. They want us to join them. They're prepared to buy a separate house, stay. The reason for my till continuing with the company, continuing with my enterprise, small, if I wind up, my daughter will uproot me from here to the US. So, I think we are at last in the right direction. Today when we walk into Lulu Mall, 90% of the fruits and vegetables are coming from other states. When we can grow all the fruits and vegetables in our state. Why what's happening? I think we'll have to work very strongly. We have been working on that, and today, I was told even World Bank is funding almost about 1,000 crores. And now the plantation thing has taken care of Geemon, but the farming community. We'll have to work on that. Still, the farmers are not happy. Even plantations, they don't do well. They are capable of looking after themselves because they are powerful. Anyway, we should not stop working towards that. This is only the beginning of time working towards that. That's it.
Thank you, Shivdas. And yes, as I mentioned, today is a significant day for agriculture in the state, and we do hope that by mid of Jan, we will have the new policy come out. And that's going to be a game changer. And it's like somebody is saying that I'm going to stop smoking. I used to smoke 10 cigarettes a day. I'm now at 9 cigarettes, and soon I will be at 8 cigarettes. That's what happened with agriculture. You can never stop that way. If you have to stop, you have to stop one day and then start again. And hopefully that will be by mid of Jan. But what is also interesting is that what next for the younger generation or the next generation in agriculture? And what we see is that there is today technology that can improve productivity significantly. A classic example is black pepper, which Kerala used to be the world leader in black pepper, producing 60,000 tons of black pepper. Way back 25 years back, we were producing 60 to 80,000 tons of black pepper. Today we produce 45,000 tons of black pepper. In 1995 or 2000, the Vietnamese delegation which came to the World Spice Congress mentioned that by the year 2010, we will be producing 150,000 tons of black pepper. Most of us simply laughed it off. Today Vietnam produces 350,000 tons of black pepper, and we produce 50,000 tons of black pepper. And they did it, and their productivity is 10 times more than that of India. 10 times. We produce 250 kgs. They produce 2,500 kgs per acre. We have the land. Even today, we have the largest land under black pepper cultivation, producing 1/10 of what Vietnam produces. That's the potential, and that's the opportunity that we have. We need to change the university from just doing research and produce commercial capable technology that can be implemented. And it is these seeds which they have taken from Kerala that gives them 2,500 kgs per acre in Vietnam. Why doesn't it give it in India? Because our farmers are not taught the right way to cultivate it. So this is the potential that exists, and that is a change that we need. In terms of tea estates, there's new technology that is coming in. There is a there's a patented equipment that has come in because we have labor shortages. Now there is a patented equipment that climbs up and cuts the leaves. You just need 2 laborers per acre, whereas you needed 10 per acre if it was just pure labor. So there is technology coming up. That's an advantage. Now, where is this technology coming from? It can come from our universities. Why can't it? Today we also saw fuselage with drone technology. Okay, it can reduce the input costs. So there is tremendous potential there as well. And we spoke about a person doing 600 tons of fruits and vegetables, not selling 1 kg below the retail price. So there is so much of potential here. So once the plantations are opened up, we should have fruits and vegetables coming up, and homestead farming, which has been the bell that always Joe Shetton rings. Where is my homestead farm? And that is a potential out there. with technology, can we make the best use of it?
Horticulture should be part of healthcare also. Horticulture therapy. All the IT units should have a greenhouse where children from Monty evening work in front of the computer. I was talking to Alex, I don't know where he's here. So have a small greenhouse after lunch, ask them to spend some time inside. Even healthcare in the hospitals, sick people, old people can, work with it. Even the houses. You have only 2 vandakya coming. Your husband plucks that 2 vandakya, take it to the kitchen, give it to his wife, and she makes sambar out of it. There are a lot of love, lot of feel-good factor there. The plantation side, Jose and me, we know 50,000 hectares of sandalwood is being grown in Australia. Today, in fact, I had a unit exporting something I used to export through Cochin Port. They used to de-stuff my container because there is some information that Rakta Chandanam is being smuggled. When Rakta Chandanam can be grown and make the farmer grow Rakta Chandanam and let him sell, maybe let the government permit. But there is money in that. Why should you stop them from growing? Let the farmer decide what crop he has to grow in his own field. Why should somebody else tell you, look, this is the one you grow? I mean, I'm sorry to use that word, absurd.
The whole Aboriginal community in Western Africa is today surviving because of those sandalwood fields. And the roots of those sandalwood have gone from Kerala.
Mysore.
And Mysore. And we don't have sandalwood here now anymore. So this is the dichotomy that we need to break. It's probably coming up from this colonial mindset. And that, after 75 years at least, now we should change that. So I'll have one question to all the panelists. You're all free to answer this. And then we will open the floor to the audience. So the question I have for all of you is, we agreed that we will move from what we are today to the next level. Each of you, what do you expect to present in TiCon 2024 on these 5 sectors?
Yes. Let us learn to work without depending the government. This is number 1. Okay, if government is giving something, take it. You don't have to fight with them, but certainly work with them, and ultimately you should achieve your goal. Or today, in fact, after my session, I made them commit that you are going to continue working with us. Otherwise, what happens? They just talk and go. Recent, another thing has happened. One of the Indian ambassadors, in CI we keep receiving ambassadors after ambassadors. I'm sorry to say that most of the time they come only on a Friday because they spend their weekends somewhere and send a report to the government stating that we have made a meeting with CI and all that. This time I told him, Mr. Ambassador, you go back to your place, I go back home, what are you going to do? Is it, Mr. Menon, what is it? He said, Oman, you have a commitment that the trade balance is there, you got to cap. No, we are doing that from India, North India. I said, I'm worried about my state. What am I going to do for this thing? To cut the story short, that ambassador is working towards something happening in Kerala. What I'm trying to say that you make them commit, otherwise this will not be able to take it forward. That's what I thought.
Who wants to go next?
As far as education is concerned, in 2024, I want Kerala government to do away with this affiliation system, allow private universities, and instead of 7,000 students going to Canada on a single day, we should have a net import of 70,000 students to state of Kerala, and that's what we want. That will trigger another round of development activities, and we have to continuously push the government for next 3 years to do that.
So Dr. Navas, you will then lead a small group to work collectively and influence the government, correct? Thank you. Revathi?
From the assisted living space, two things are very important. We hope to present in 2024. One is a clear definition of the total addressable market. Right now, it is pretty skewed. We have not very clear what is exact demand, what is exact supply. So a better, clearer picture. Second thing is if I can showcase one success story from Kerala that has used this model and is bringing more and more jobs into Kerala and more senior citizens into a comfortable, safe and secure environment. That's a plan.
That's wonderful.
So next year, I'm hoping that we'll be able to present a database of all the research institutions in the state. In some, and maybe not all industries, but certainly in health, agriculture.
In these sectors.
Exactly, in these sectors, that's
all our sectors.
one. And two, not just a list of these institutions, but a list of the collaborative projects between industry and either research institutions and universities.
That's a good one, because one of the big gaps is the industry and academia lack of coherence or unity in what they do, because all the students who pass out, hardly anybody is employable. That's our fault.
I have one more. See, we had this very interesting session on assisted living. Now, I am personally very interested in assistive technology. And I'm hoping to persuade the Kerala government to make that the focus area for Kerala.
That becomes part of the assisted living whole sector. Thank you. And Parvathy?
I'm hoping that we'll be able to create this atmosphere where we'll have more people wanting to come to Kerala for health and wellness. And now from what we've heard here, we've got a doctor who's going to have come up with more courses, more students coming here, and we'll get them trained in healthcare as well. So we can showcase ourselves as the state, which has the best facilities, best resources, and I think that's something that we should work on.
Thank you. Jacob, with your permission, I'm going to have 2 questions from the audience and then we will close the session, if that's okay. There's time for 2 questions. Yes, Jojo.
Yeah, like Shivdas rightly said, see, we don't have to always go after the government to get our things in order. Because I have a friend who was the president of UPASI and who was also the president of APK, a very knowledgeable planter. He's got about 1,200 acres estate plantation. So I wanted, actually next year you should invite him to come. He has grown about 50 acres of fruit trees and about 1.5 to 2 acres of lake he has created, a huge lake for irrigation and state-of-the-art technology on Israel model. And he has just converted his plantation from rubber to cocoa. So what he has done is you can grow from one plantation crop to another. The government doesn't prevent you from doing that. So he has shifted from rubber to cocoa. And rambutan, for example, requires only 40 by 40 spacing. So in a 40 by 40 spacing, your number of cocoa trees will be far more than the rambutan. So it will be deemed as a cocoa plantation. You should do what you're supposed to do. Don't waste your time. There's one gentleman in Kerakkambalam. I've not gone and visited. He's done pepper Vietnam model, 1 acre. 800 plants. In the third year, he got 5 tons. Now, the fourth year, he's anticipating 10 tons. He said when he started the pepper cultivation, price was 300 rupees. Right now, the price is 600 rupees, which means 60 lakh rupees. His cost of establishment was about 65 lakhs. So in 2 years, he's getting about 90 lakh rupees. So all this is possible. So I spoke to some farmers, they are saying, oh, 65 lakh rupees for 1 acre is too much. The Malayali doesn't mind building a house for 1 crore. His problem is cultivating 1 acre pepper with 65 lakhs. Okay.
Thank you, Jojo. And the moral of the story is help yourself. That is the bottom line.
ഒരു ചോദ്യവും കൂടെ ഉണ്ട്. അതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മുടെ സ്കൂളിൽ ഒരുപാട് പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, കോളേജിൽ പഠിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇതിൽ 99% വേസ്റ്റാണ്. ഒരു നേരത്തെ ഭക്ഷണം ഒരു ചോറും കറിയും വെച്ച് കഴിക്കാനായിട്ട് ഒരു സ്കൂളിലും പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല, ആരെയും പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല, ആർക്കും പറ്റത്തില്ല ഇവിടെയുള്ള. എനിക്ക് ഈ പറയും പോലെ നേരത്തെ റെസിപ്പിയുടെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു, എത്ര ഒരുപാട് റെസിപ്പി കൊടുത്താൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. ഈ ഉപ്പ് എത്രയാണ്, മുളക് എത്രയാണ്, ഇതെല്ലാം പാകത്തിനാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ അളവൊന്നും ഈ റെസിപ്പിയിലില്ല. അതുപോലെ വേറൊരു കാര്യം, അത് അറിയണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കുറച്ചൊരു കോമൺ സെൻസ് വേണം. ലേഡീസിനെ അപ്രീഷിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്, എനിക്ക് പറ്റില്ല, ഞാൻ ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുമെങ്കിലും. ദെൻ അഗെയിൻ സ്കൂളിലെ ഈ സിലബസ് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യേണ്ട കാലം പണ്ടേ കഴിഞ്ഞു. ആവശ്യമുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് ജീവിക്കാൻ ആവശ്യമുള്ളത് എന്തെന്നുള്ളത് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നേ ഇല്ല. അതുപോലെ എല്ലാവരും ഓൺട്രപ്രീനേഴ്സ് ആവണം, എല്ലാവരും എൻജിനീയേഴ്സും ഡോക്ടേഴ്സും ആകുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇവരെ സ്കില്ല് മാർക്കറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ആരും പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല ഒരിടത്തും, ബിസിനസ് മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് അല്ലാതെ. ബിസിനസ് മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണ്? നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും വേണ്ടി ജോലി ചെയ്ത് പൈസ ഉണ്ടാക്കി കൊടുക്കാൻ, അവനവന് വേണ്ടി ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പോലും പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല അതിനകത്ത്. നമ്മൾ മാത്രമേ പറയുന്നുള്ളൂ ഓൺട്രപ്രീനേഴ്സ് ആവണം എന്നുള്ളൂ. താങ്ക് യു.
ഫണ്ടമെൻ്റൽ ലൈഫ് സ്കിൽസ് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നില്ല, അതാണ് ബേസിക്സ്. സോ വി വിൽ ട്രൈ ആൻഡ് കറക്റ്റ് ഇറ്റ്, ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ്സ് പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് അവർ
Don't even know to behave.
No, we have done with the 2 questions. I'm sorry. We'll have to close the session. That reminds me, 25 years back, I had to go to Israel. And because I was getting married that year and I wanted to go to the Holy Land, pray for my strength, mental well-being and all that. Yeah, so I went to Israel for that. And at that time when I went, it was an absolute desert. There was nothing there. Just before COVID, I again went to Israel. I saw vineyards, tomatoes, and whatever else can cultivate even in cold climate. Everything, absolutely self-sufficient. If a desert can be turned to that. We spoke about Netherlands and Wageningen University. There is so much that we can learn from all of these places. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And with that, I will sum up the session, this particular panel. Thank you so much, panel members. But in terms of what we achieved in TiCon 2023, thanks to Damodar, Jacob, and the rest of the TI team, the fantastic secretariat that we have, each of them, every one of them have put in so much effort. They need an absolute standing ovation. And it is also the most successful TiCon ever. We had 870 registered delegates. So clearly, we are making an impact, and hopefully in 2024, it's not just the number of delegates, but the actions that we take between now and the next TiCon is going to define this journey, and I'm sure all of us here in this room are absolutely committed to that journey. We will make it possible. As Adi said, determination. We are all entrepreneurs. We will never give up. Shivdas started the journey, and Jose Chetan started the journey of farming 25 years, and it's materializing today. So it is possible. Determination. We shall overcome. Right? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.